G'day guys, Kiwi Bow under here. Just thought I'd do, while I'm out here, just had that little rant video. Just thought I'd do a quick one on that, an update for the Cold Steel Tuff Lite that my buddy CJ sent me, Patriot NC1. Christ, I'm not even sure how long I've had it for now, but probably a couple of months I'd say, just off the top of my head. Seems to be doing alright. Mostly all the crap I'm doing with it at work is cutting open boxes, cutting through cardboard, crap like that. I've used it on little bits of wood and just like, you know, odd jobs, cutting fingernails or toenails or bits of string, just random crap that generally your EDC knife's going to have to do. I'm quite liking it. The tip is definitely the bit on this Warncliffe blade that gets them. This is the first Warncliffe I've had. Definitely the first centimetre of the, or even a half centimetre of the tip is what gets the most work in this knife, because you're not trailing it with the belly or anything. You can't present, it's pretty hard to present a different, like the base of the blade or anything like that. It's just about always the tip that's going into something when you're making a cut. And that's usually the bit that gets dull fastest. Like I'll sharpen it, I've only sharpened it two, maybe three times, because my Swiss Army knife I keep razor sharp, so if I do need anything really sharp like cutting through leather or cutting splinters out or anything like that, I'll use that, use the Swiss Army knife, because that just sits in my pocket. That's more of a backup knife if I leave this at home or whatever, or yeah. So I tend to keep the Swiss Army knife nice and sharp and just use this for rough tasks where I'm hacking up bits of cardboard or whatever. It's my cat. Ooh, give it a big sneeze. Just where basically I don't want to either blunt my knife at work because I work in a butchery, like a skinning knife or whatever, or I can't be bothered getting the Swiss Army knife out because it's so much easier. Like Swiss Army knife's on my keychain, just with everything else. Victorinox Huntsman, if anyone's curious. And it's just a pain to pull that out and flick the blade out and then have all the keys dangling off it when you're trying to cut something. So it's much easier to have this and just have it in that little top pocket. Just pull it out like that, flick it open, do whatever I got to do, and then just it can go back in the pocket. I dropped it twice. The factory edge on this thing was sharp, but it was really quite thin. It was quite a thin edge. I chipped it a few times just as soon as I got it, just cutting packing straps, like those hard plastic packing straps. Chipped a couple times just throughout the length of the blade. You stick it in and just rip it up. And it took a couple of chunks out of it, so I was kind of worried about it, so I re-beveled it a little bit so it's a bit more convex. Just because, and it's not as razor sharp, but I don't barely ever have to sharpen the thing just from cutting through sellotape or cardboard or the packing straps or any of that kind of crap. It stays pretty sharp. I did drop it the other day and I took a little chunk out of the tip, like a tiny little chunk. You can only just see it if you look real close, but it's what you usually expect if you drop a fine point, because it's hollow ground. It's half ground. So it's like a saber grind, but the bottom of the grind, instead of being flat, it's hollow. So there's not a whole lot of meat near the end, especially not at the tip where it's also got it's also been sharpened, obviously. But just about any time you drop a semi-sharp knife tip down, it'll chip. I've done it with my knives at work a few times, bump them off the bench when you're moving, like cut a meat or whatever, and sometimes it knocks them on the ground, takes a hunk out of the top. On one of these though, it's a work knife. It's meant to be used. I don't baby any of my stuff. Guns, knives, packs, it's there to be used. I try and take good care of it, but if it gets a bit, scratched up or whatever doing what I'm doing with it, then I know for next time either not to do it or just what to expect. But yeah, so still it's a good knife. I'm real happy with it. It's nice and light. I'm used to the grip now. It was a bit weird at first with these two prominent finger grips just trying to get the finger grip right, but I seem to I've just with practice over time, just pull it out and you grab it like that as is, and got quite a bit of dexterity. You can your main sort of part of that I use the finger, the index finger and the thumb, just to get all the detail in it, and just sort of rolls around your hand quite nicely. But yeah, no, it's a nice little knife. The only thing I find hard is to transition from that to reverse grip quite effectively, but I'm barely ever having to use that. It's just one of those things I thought I'd practice for in case I need it for something else other than just cutting crap. But yeah, it's perfectly alright. The only thing I would prefer maybe is if it had a tip up carry option, and then I could put a cable tie on it, do a ghetto wave mod like on my spider code, just so it'll whip open as I pull it out of my pocket. But that's mainly a show off thing. Like, it's easy enough to do with any of those sorts of knives, just with your thumb as you pull it out. Like, it's got a big thumb opening on it, plenty easy. It's just, yeah, one of those things. Every now and again it's cool to be able to just go whoosh. But yeah, other than that, it's all going well, and thanks very much CJ for the knife. It's been very useful. Yeah, righto, cheers.